The Curse of the Jersey Devil, a Jason Voorhees story. By Rashad Malik Moore. Act 2, Chapter 10. Johnny Voorhees, a.k.a. the White Pine Slaughterer, a.k.a. the replica Jason, walks through the deep, dark forest. It's been decades of him walking up and down Camp Crystal Lake. Just about every location he passed in the environment acted as a landmark that had a story to it. Jenny Field was the lady that tricked him back in 1981, where she dressed up and pretended to be Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees. At that time, Jason had been inexperienced with dealing with people. Before 1981, Jason had never killed a person before, just animals. He had been so successful with killing the others that he had not realized how psychologically adapted the young lady had been, and it cost him. Jenny got away. Next, in 1982, the girl Chris Higgins came to the lake, and though Jason mostly had his way with her, he grew more and more frustrated with the level of resistance that the young lady put up. She even managed to stab him in the groin with a knife, which pissed him off. Killing the female victims wasn't supposed to be much of a challenge. He failed to finish her, and she got away. Jason swore to be more aggressive and vicious if another group of people would come to the camp. He wasn't going to let any dead weight linger around. He felt the need to take out and kill Crazy Ralph, an old friend of the family, primarily because Ralph was warning trespassers about him. Ralph was close associates with Pamela, even to a degree considered a friend. In 1984, another group of teens made their way to Camp Crystal Lake. One by one, Jason punished and killed individuals from the group. He even managed to kill a set of twins. It had been so easy watching that group. They were so unaware what was happening. Again, another final girl got in Jason's way, Trish Jarvis. This time, Jason would be deceived by a boy who he swore was himself. He was hallucinating and had been tricked by the small boy. This would be fatal, sending Jason to hell for the first time in his life. Tommy Jarvis manipulated and deceived Jason. Jason knew that his mother would be disappointed in him for letting such a small little weakling have his way with him. If it wasn't for that little bastard, Jason would have had Trish Jarvis in his wake. Then that little bastard Tommy Jarvis, all grown up, came back for more years later. In 1986, Megan Garris had been the next final girl that Jason set out to kill. But again, that Tommy Jarvis got in the way. Still walking in the heavy rain, the White Pine Slaughterer, Johnny Voorhees, reminisced on the past. He thought about what he would do and how long he would take to punish and make suffer that Tommy Jarvis. Years later, when he was stalking another group of teenagers at Crystal Lake, a petite girl with blonde hair, Tina Shepard, managed to put up a great fight versus Jason. He remembered that the girl could throw stuff at him without having to use her hands. Even though Johnny, replica Jason, hated what she was doing, he was envious of her abilities. He wanted to know how she was able to do what she was doing. Jason recalls being awakened by a force of electricity back in 1989. Right away, he knew where he was. A small yacht had anchored itself in Crystal Lake. The two passengers were a couple in their early 20s. Jason wanted to kill them for trespassing, which he did. He discarded the young man and lady. Within his grasp, a new mask, the same type of hockey mask that was broken off his face by the scrawny blonde with the psychic abilities. Fast forward to the next day. Aboard the cruise ship, the Lazarus, Jason took out a group of invaders on the ship one by one. He recalls a girl who he murdered with a guitar. Her name was JJ. She was a beautiful young lady with dark hair that had a cool punk rock style to her. Jason stalked her for about 2 hours. She would blast the music by playing her guitar. To Jason, it was loud and obnoxious, and he wanted to shut her up for making a ruckus. Then he made his move. JJ ran and tried to cut the corner, but Jason was too fast. She panicked and thought to herself, "What an intimidating-looking man, he looks like a monster." And then wham, Jason whacked her on the side of her head with her acoustic guitar, killing her. Jason then went on to kill a student in the sauna room with a heat rock, then another young blonde girl who was nearly naked wearing a robe. He killed all of the passengers by the end of the night, except for the remaining two teenagers, Sean Robertson and Rennie Wickham. Right away, when Jason first laid eyes on her while on the boat, he recognized her. There was something familiar about Rennie. He could recall a time seeing her when she was a child, while he was asleep within the lake. While in a temporary coma, Jason could telepathically reach the child Rennie. His spirit had the ability to drag and drown people within the lake, but Rennie managed to escape his grasp. When he finally reached the shores of Manhattan, Jason took a stand and promised to his mother that he would make the trespassers pay with their lives. If it wasn't for that annoying runt Sean Robertson, he would have had Rennie right where he wanted her. Like Tina Shepard, Rennie possessed a unique energy signature that Jason could not let out of his grasp. He came so close to killing her, but no one knew that if Jason was to kill Rennie, he would be able to absorb her special abilities. He had her cornered, but then Jason felt something that he never felt before. Even through all of the battle-tested pain that he had endured before, never had he felt the impact of what toxic waste could do to his body. The pain had been even overwhelming for Jason, to the point that he snatched his hockey mask off his face while the mask was deteriorating. The effects of the toxic waste had done enough damage to Jason to slow him down. Through his last effort to kill Rennie and Sean, the water current of the sewer in 1989 Manhattan washed the mass killer Jason Voorhees away from the two, causing Jason to lose proximity to the two teenagers. He had failed again, but this time gained enough experience to know what he needed to do next. He shoved the burnt and broken mask in his deteriorated, melted face and began to depart home to Camp Crystal Lake, New Jersey. About time 1993 came, Jason had already become proficient in using the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. To a degree, the book physically healed the damaged body of Jason. That whole week upon him being sent to hell, Jason had shifted his spirit consciousness in and out of a plethora of people. All of their bodies were too weak to sustain his dark spirit, so after a few hours the bodies would decay by melting. But then he found a body that could sustain his spirit. After killing and storing the body of Diane Kimball, Jason was able to use her body to resurrect himself in his natural way. With his new original body, Jason fought the nerdy athlete Stephen Freeman, the bounty hunter Creighton Duke, and his niece Jessica Kimball. Jason didn't consciously know it, but the demons from the Necronomicon Ex Mortis that resided within him, at the time, had informed Jason that Diane, Jessica, and Stephanie Kimball were his relatives, and that he needed to absorb them to be reborn or kill them, because they threatened his undead existence. Not only did Jason succeed with having killed his half-sister, Diane, but he also succeeded with absorbing her DNA. But there was a lapse in Jason's memory. Him as Jason could directly remember interacting with the FBI agents in 1993. So how did he remember killing Diane Kimball if it was after he was blown up? It was the worm that gave him the memory. It happened when the FBI took his body parts into custody and then shipped them to a special unknown research facility. So everything Johnny remembers that happened in '93 after the FBI incident had come from the worms of Meta Jason. In 1996, Mr. Voorhees collected a worm specimen from the Voorhees family house grounds and put the worm inside of the empty vessel of Jason's old blown-up body. Meta Jason had gone to hell, but in the special research facility of Wolfram and Hart in '97, he was born. In that year and on that special day, Replica Jason was born. He stopped being Jason so Johnny could be born. Thanks to occult dark magic cloning by Mr. Voorhees and Wolfram and Hart, a clone Johnny was able to be produced. Johnny obtained some of the memories from the people Meta Jason killed in '93 by way of possession, but since Meta Jason had been killed by Jessica Kimball later on that week, this is as far as his memories go. Jessica Kimball had successfully defeated the Necronomicon curse. Everything after that was all of Meta Jason's work. It is only after 2022 when Johnny Voorhees was activated by Wolfram and Hart. His big brother Jason was supposed to kill the couple that caused their death as a child, but those kills were for Meta Jason alone. Johnny had all the rights and permission from his father, Mr. Voorhees, to kill all trespassers except for Mr. and Mrs. Sully. Johnny continued to walk in the woods. Eventually he will find what he is looking for, and he knew that the time wouldn't be long. He could sense them. They were getting close. Johnny celebrated with a very thrilled demeanor. Johnny giggled and muttered in his muttered irate voice, "For Daddy." Directors, Wolfram and Hart Headquarters. "Yes, people, put your bets in," the old white man with the glasses said. "That's right, people, we have Wolfram and Hart's own, the White Pine Slaughterer. I need maintenance, engineering, R&D, admin, and everyone else who hasn't placed their bets in for the next round to place them now. We have other candidates we are waiting to deploy. I want to see the other Night Stalkers' kills, too. Let's make this fun, people. I want killer clowns." "What do we have here?" the old man at headquarters asked out loud. A young lady employee who worked with the old man spoke to him with explanation. "Sir, if you can recall what the junior partners told us." The old man asked, "And what's that?" The young lady continued. "That's a Crystal Lake police officer, sir. We allow them access inside of the premises because if we didn't, it would bring up suspicion that we don't want. We let them do their job." The old man chuckled. "Yeah, we let them stumble across one of our artifacts and decide their fate. Good idea. I mean, it's entertaining, and in a horror movie situation like this, the police are almost always irrelevant." The old man and the young lady continued to look at the large screen. The old man sat up in his chair. "Now that's what I'm talking about. We got some action. We got a single Crystal Lake police officer pulling into Crystal Lake now. This is going to be good." Driving up to one of the cabins, a single Crystal Lake police officer parked his car and got out of the vehicle. Deputy Eduardo Dominguez. He was a tan-skinned, 6'1" Hispanic man that had been a citizen in the United States for the last 7 years. He had worked his way to becoming a police officer after his short reign as a professional baseball player in the MLB, which didn't work out for him. He had been in the league for 3 years and had gotten better each year that went past, but an injury to his left shoulder permanently took him out of the sport. Back in the Dominican Republic, it had always been his dream to play for the big leagues. Playing for the Florida Marlins for those few short years was a dream come true, but a sacrificing slide to home base after running the catcher over and winning the game ended his career. He would never play in the MLB again or any other professional baseball league. After spending 2 years on the sidelines in a depression, Eduardo Dominguez had decided to become a cop. When he graduated from the police academy, it had filled a void in him that had been missing since he stopped playing professional baseball. Walking around the perimeter, Deputy Dominguez looked around and searched the area for any type of suspicious activity. So far, he had not found anything out of the usual. He was somewhat aware of the reputation of the camp, but that didn't intimidate him. He took his job seriously and viewed it as a second chance at being something resourceful in life. He thought to himself after scoping the place out, "Oh my, this place gives me the creeps. Makes sense why people stop moving to this town. The place makes the bad spots in DR look like paradise. I'm gonna rove this place one good time and get the hell out of here. No need to try to become a detective for such a weird environment." He then saw a cabin in the woods. It had a large hole inside the door. He pulled out his flashlight and shined it on the large hole of the wooden door. Then he cautiously stepped inside of the cabin through the large hole. For a few seconds he could only see hay on the ground. Then he saw red hay. His nostrils were hit with a strong smell. A heavy stench made him almost vomit. Deputy Dominguez had never smelt such a smell in his whole entire life. He used to hear stories back in the Dominican Republic of practitioners of the spiritual system, 21 divisions, who could cause this type of havoc. He was aware of the ramifications of dealing with that type of dark magic, and that's exactly why he stayed away from it. Next, he looked on the floor and saw a bloodied card. He picked it up and read it. It was an identification card with the name Ned Finkelstein of Weehawken, New Jersey on it. Deputy Dominguez said out loud, "Oh no, Papa, are you still alive?" He pulled out a small plastic Ziploc bag and put the bloody card inside of it. He continued to walk again, continuing to scope out the cabin. When he looked on the ground again, he saw a broken wooden baseball bat that still had a handle on it. He picked it up, and right away he got flashbacks to his pro days as a baseball player. He swung the bat multiple times. It felt great for him to have a nostalgic moment. He still had it. For a brief moment, it crossed his mind to reconsider trying out for pro baseball again. But then he snapped out of that thought. He thought to himself, "No, you're a deputy now, Eduardo. Your job is to protect and serve the public. I can always go back to the Dominican Republic to visit and to see my family." Deputy Dominguez heard movement coming from the back of the cabin. When he started to slowly walk in the direction of the suspicious noise, out came Johnny, the White Pine slaughterer. With a determined ferocity, Johnny charged the police officer, but before he could lay a hand on the cop, Deputy Eduardo Dominguez, with his elite-level technique, cracked the White Pine slaughterer upside his egg-shaped head, sending him to the ground. Dominguez wasn't going to make a fatal mistake, so he pulled out his pistol and shot the masked assailant in the head, heart, and kneecaps to assure that he wouldn't be getting up. He wasn't going to risk it, because this was likely the killer who mangled Ned Finkelstein. Then, with lightning-fast speed, the White Pine slaughterer popped onto his feet and got a hold of Deputy Eduardo Dominguez's face. He started to squeeze it, breaking the mandible. "Fuck you, Maricón," Dominguez said to Johnny, crushing and collapsing his face in like Play-Doh. Deputy Eduardo Dominguez screamed in agony one last time. This would be the last duty that Deputy Eduardo Dominguez would serve. His future was no more. Okay, Slashaholics, this has been the beginning of Act 2 of The Curse of the Jersey Devil, a Jason Voorhees story by Rashad Malik Moore. Chapter 10, and looks like Johnny Voorhees is at it. Got his first kill of Act 2 in. That was a lot of fun. We got a bit of a history lesson from the series, as well as a better understanding of who Jason is and who Johnny is and the difference between them. Meta Jason and this Jason. I like the fact that it ties into Cabin in the Woods. I love that Jason, Johnny, all of this is something that, you know, can be activated, and that they're watching it, you know, and taking bets on what's going to happen. That's a lot of fun. Very interesting tie-in. I love crossovers in the horror genre, kind of like the one coming up, The Leprechaun and Art the Clown and Hellraiser. But, you know, having Friday the 13th crossover with Cabin in the Woods is a great idea, and it's very entertaining, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. If it's been a while since you listened to the Act 1 of Curse of the Jersey Devil, you might want to go back and re-listen to it before diving too deep into Act 2. But I will be releasing the rest of Act 2, chapter by chapter, on a very regular basis going forward, along with the rest of Freddy's Dead. I'm going to be doing Friday the 13th Part 8 by Jeremy Terry, Nightmares by James Acosta, wrapping up Freddy vs. Ash, and Final Destination, Destination Zero. Have a guest narrator recording Freddy Krueger's Tales of Terror book number 1, Blind Date, so we can finally have that set of books complete here on the channel. Lots of fun stuff coming. The Librarian is definitely back, and I hope you're enjoying the content here on the channel. If you don't want to have to wait for the narrations, you can actually join the Patreon or become a channel member and get early access to the readable chapters of Friday the 13th 8 by Jeremy Terry and Curse of the Jersey Devil Act 2 by Rashad Moore. Right now you can get, I believe, the first couple chapters of each on Patreon and in the members-only post community section here on YouTube. And honestly, the best way to support the channel is to just subscribe and spread the word. But if you wanted to go the extra mile, get the extra bonuses, you can become a Patreon member, a channel member. You can order one of my books on Amazon. That helps a lot. Or just do one-time donations to the channel if you wanted. If you enjoy what I do here, you can do a super thanks comment on any video. There's a PayPal or Cash App way to donate a tip to the channel. You can even do a cameo video. All the information on how to support the channel is in the comment section and the description below. Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed tonight's narration. Let Rashad know what you thought, and I'll be back with more very soon. Until then, this has been your friendly neighborhood 80 slasher librarian saying thanks for listening, be excellent to each other, and the librarian is back.